Hi guys, so today's vlog is on yeast rolls. Yeast rolls are one of the recipes I get asked for the most. This is a recipe that I've kind of worked with various recipes over the years, and this is one that resembles most closely to my grandmother's yeast rolls with the finished product, which is what I was looking for because her yeast rolls were amazing. So stay tuned while I teach you how to make grandma's yeast rolls. See you soon. Alright, so ingredients are the first thing we need to worry about. In this bowl I have 5 cups of all-purpose flour. You could also use a bread flour, which I actually prefer, but I'm sticking with the original recipe for some family members that I know are looking for that original taste and texture. But this has less gluten than bread flour. So if you're looking for more gluten, like a chewier product, you're going to want to go with a bread flour. The next ingredient I have 2 teaspoons of table salt. I have 1/4 cup of white sugar. I have 4 tablespoons butter. And I have 3 of the Fleischmann's Rapid Rise yeast packets here. The last ingredient I have is 12 ounces of milk that I've heated up to just below scalding on the stove. I want this to be warm but not too hot because the first step is to combine my milk, my sugar, and my 3 yeast packets together. And what this is going to do is it's going to give the yeast a good environment and some food in which it's going to grow and rise. And that's what you want when you're making yeast bread, is you want to give your yeast the right conditions to grow and to rise. Oh, it's already smelling so good. Smell the yeast growing. So I'm gonna put those in there, and I'm just going to grab a whisk or a fork, whatever's easiest. And I'm just gonna stir that up, and I'm gonna let that sit for about 5 minutes until the yeast starts to bubble and foam and grow and get nice and yummy. So this is gonna sit for about 5 minutes. And we're gonna let it just grow and rise, and I'll see you back in a few minutes. Okay guys, so our yeast is growing and it's doing what I need it to do. Real quick, I want to talk to you about the mixer. Now I'm using a stand mixer, and on it I have put a dough hook. And a dough hook, it just helps in the kneading, so I don't have to do it by myself. And it just speeds up the process a little bit of the kneading. So in this bowl, I'm going to start by putting in my dry ingredients. I have my flour, so that's going to go in, all 5 cups. My salt is going to go in, and then I'm going to put in my fat, my butter. And I'm just going to drop that in, put the head down, lock it into place. I'm going to put this on medium high. And all I'm doing is breaking up that butter and combining all these ingredients together. Okay, so I've mixed my dry ingredients and my fats together, and I'm fixing to add in my yeast, and you'll see when I pour it in that it's got nice and foamy, and that's exactly what you want it to do. So we're going to put the head back down, lock it back in place, and then I'm going to turn this on, and we're going to knead it until it comes together in one solid ball. It's kneaded everything into a nice tight ball, and that's what I'm looking for it to do. I'm looking for it to become this solid ball down at the bottom of my mixer. So what I'm going to do is take the dough hook off, get it out of the way, scrape any dough that's left on there out, and then I'm just going to grab this, pull it out of this mixer, and I'm going to put it on my clean countertop. And I'm just going to knead it a little bit. a lot of times people ask me, well, I don't have a stand mixer with a dough hook. Can I do it by hand? Absolutely. It does take a little upper body strength. It does take a little work to get it all combined properly, but it's not impossible. You can easily do this by hand. So I've gathered it into a nice smooth ball, and I'm gonna put it into the bowl that had the flour in earlier. I've just sprayed it with some Pam. I'm gonna drop it in, and then I'm gonna spray the top of it, and I'm gonna grab a towel that I'm gonna dampen with some warm water, and I'm gonna just drape this over just like this, and then point it up. And then what I'm gonna do next is sit this on the stove. I'm cooking dinner, and so while dinner's cooking, I'm gonna sit it between the burners of the stove. The heat is gonna encourage this to rise, and what I'm looking for it to do is actually double in volume. So when it's done that, it should be up about even with the top of my container here. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll see you after it's had time to rise. Okay, so the bread's had time to rise. It's been sitting on the stove. It's doubled in size. So what I'm gonna do now is actually turn it out onto my clean counter. And I'm just gonna press the air out of it. And there are a lot of different ways you can make these rolls up. I'm gonna go with just a standard dinner roll makeup. If I were at work, I would actually take this and weigh it and cut it in evenly sized pieces. Instead today, I'm gonna do an older fashioned method known as choking them off, where you gather it between your thumb and your forefinger, and you just pinch, and you get a nice sized item. And we're gonna do that with all of the dough. And it moves quite quickly. It makes a nice size roll when you're done. This recipe actually doesn't make a ton of rolls. It makes anywhere from 10 to 15. Just depends on how big you're making them. I kind of like them a little bit on the larger size. It's just a personal preference. But I've got them all choked off, so they're all nice and evenly divided. And what I'm gonna do is kind of flatten these out. If you'll watch, I'm gonna flatten it out, and I'm just gonna gather it up into like a little purse, pinch it all together, flip it over, and then just roll it in my cupped hand, and it makes a nice roll. So I'm going to do that with all of these pieces, place it on my prepared sheet. I took a cookie sheet, I sprayed it with some pan spray, I lined it with parchment, and then I just am putting the rolls on it, and I'll see you in a few minutes. All right guys, so I've got all the rolls made up. They're on my pan. I'm gonna sit these back over on the stove to rise. They're gonna double in size again, and then once they've doubled in size, I'm gonna put them in a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes. They're gonna get nice and golden brown on top and bottom, and I'll show you the finished product when we're done. All right, here are the yeast rolls fresh out of the oven. I'm going to try to plate one for you, let you see what it looks like, and then this is my breakfast, guys. And there you have it. Homemade yeast roll. Got some good butter in there melting up. So that's gonna be a bedtime snack for me. Hope you enjoyed watching yeast rolls being made. If you have something you'd like to see, please send me a comment or a message. I'll be happy to see if I can oblige. Night, guys.